This is how you build the ultimate BMW M2 track car. We travelled over 5,000 miles from home to put in over 500 hours of work to create this monster. Join us as we relive a stripped down version of events and witness this dream come to life. Right, here we are in our garage, our workshop for the next 7 weeks. Now you can see this car started off as a pretty nice example with only 7,000 miles on the clock. But the transformation that you'll see at the end of this movie will blow your mind. We're into the strip down stage. Basically, we're just going to get everything out from the interior, all the trims, all the control units, then we'll actually get the wiring loom out. Tomorrow we'll start removing the glass, the roof, ready for next week when we're going to be welding in the cage. First things first, getting the whole interior out of the car. We literally zipped through this straight off the plane and took this 7,000 mile car apart. Day 2 of the build today, turned up early morning. Last night we left here with the car semi-stripped, stripped out all the trims in the back of the car. Today, focusing on getting the glazing and the roof off the car, which will help us with a lot more mobility moving around, being able to get the dash out. It's much easier with all the glazing out. Joel and I get going cutting all of the windows out. As this was a new car and it was in Arizona, all of the bonding was pretty soft. We carefully remove it, ready for the new ones. We then move on to taking the bonnet off, and we start stripping down the inside of the car. Next, it's the windscreen. With the windscreen out of the way, we move on to taking off the roof. Yo! We start off by drilling all the spot welds out around the roof. This is going to help release it from the body of the car. We need to remove the roof so that we can gain access to the roll cage once we come to install it into the car. We got the roof off! Great success! Productive day. As you can see from the car, it's looking really stripped out. We've got the roof off, got all the glass out. Nearly finished with the interior, so we just got the dash to come out and then the carpet. But yeah, really productive day. We're really happy with the progress. We're on track. Let's get the dash out the way and continue stripping down the interior. We need the whole interior stripped out so we can remove the wiring loom from the car. The reason we need to do that is because we're going to strip the whole wiring loom down. With the rear bumper off, Joel can start taking out all of the electronics from the rear section and move them towards the front. Then I can remove the heater box to access all the wiring that's behind it. As you can see, there's quite a lot of wiring on these newer cars, so we need to be extra careful when removing it all. The last part to come out is the carpet. Joel's tackling that right now.
Hang on.
It's the end of day 3. The whole wiring loom is now out of the car. We're going to be sorting this spaghetti junction out. All the unnecessary wires will be stripped away. All of the control units that are not being used away. We're going to get rid of loads of this, tidy it up, then we'll loom tape the whole thing to look really nice. Run through the car beautifully. As you can see, complete shell now. Obviously the engine's still in the front. but everything is ready to go. Tomorrow, we're going to be prepping for the roll cage to go in. So we'll be starting to get the underseal away from the areas we're going to be welding in, make sure there'll be no risk of fires, and start eyeing up where we're going to put everything. We're going to cut the rear parcel shelf out in this section. The rear parcel shelf has quite a lot of weight in it. We're going to take it out to allow us to see the roll cage and all the fire extinguisher once it's in. Next, I need to take out all the unnecessary bracketry in the car, getting rid of it, not only to improve how it looks, but also to lighten the car. I take a flat disc to clean up all of the areas in which we've actually cut. It's these little finishing touches that improves the whole look of the car once it's finished. Joel starts stripping down the wiring loom. He's basically taking all of the OEM tape off the wires so that we can then strip them out one by one. We're going to reinstall the steering column so we can push the car onto the trailer. It makes it so much easier to move it around. And there she is, on the trailer.
Locked and loaded.
Alright. Okay, so we just turned up at Complete Auto Repair. This is where we're going to be doing the roll cage install. We've got Chris over here down from Colorado, which is super cool. He's coming to do the welding for us. And yeah, we're just going to roll the car off now into the workshop. We're in. We just started on making the foot plates. So these are kind of like pre-made, and then we've got to cut them to the contours of the car. So we've got our marks already pre-made here. We're just going ahead and cutting them out. We then get the main hoop set into place. We're looking at the angle of the main hoop. It's really important because that then sets the position of all the other bars in the car. Joel then starts getting all of the areas ready for welding, and Chris hits it with a TIG welder. You can see the rear stays are now in and tacked in place. Essentially the half cage now made up, and we've broke away the tack so that we can get it out of the car. Reason being is so Chris over here can hit it with some really nice welding. Much prefer doing it out of the car than in. Chris done an absolutely fantastic job with the welding. TIG welded, look how lovely that looks around there. Really, really nice stuff. It's really hard to do this in the car, so we actually took the half cage out so we could weld it on the bench. It's the next morning and we're styling this one out. We're doing really well so far, so I've got the diagram. We've got pretty much the main hoop done. Chris is currently working over there on the rear kind of half cage section. We're going to get the gussets in, we're going to get the crossbar, the diagonals all in before we actually put that back into the car. Once it's back into the car, we're working on the front section of the cage. So we're going to be putting these front bars in here, the windscreen bar and the diagonals. When we get there, we're almost done. We'll have to make our own custom door bars because we've got custom door cards that already have an inset for the door bars, and we don't want to just randomly put them so they don't fit. We want to make it really nice. She's in and she's looking good. We've got the half cage in the car. It looks absolutely fantastic. I'm really happy with the way that everything fits. I mean, it's so nice and tight down the sides here. Gussets looking great. It's lightweight being T45 and it's turning out really nice. Next stage is is actually getting these front bars in now, these A-pillar bars. So they're looking nice at the moment. They kind of fit the contour of the car really nicely. They land down here really nice. We've got to fit these boxes, get them contoured and welded in. And then it's the big job, which is the door bars. We've brought the carbon door cards in that are now attached to the door. So we've got to get them made perfectly. So these are the formed carbon door cards. Obviously at the moment they're all masked up. You might be able to see on the camera here where we actually have our galleries for the cage to sit into. So what we didn't want to do is just make the X bars anywhere, and it could come here, come here. We need them to actually fit perfectly in here. Now that's actually really hard to do, so it's going to be a big task, but we're going to make sure it looks great. We'll have a bar along here, heading to the bottom, up here, and then along here. And then when the door shuts, it's going to house that pipe really nice. And once this masking tape is off, you can have a little look here. It looks absolutely lovely. Properly formed BMW Motorsport carbon fibre going on our build. Yes! Me and the boys then get cracking on with the front end of this cage. Chris gets back on the welder, welding the harness bar in. Then we move on to fitting the diagonals at the top of the roof. This is going to bring the whole structure together and make it super strong. But we've managed to get the first bar in and it's looking really nice. So we can see that when this door shuts, that bar is following that line all the way down, and these subsequent bars will do the same thing. Unfortunately, Colorado Chris had to go home, so the cage is 95% done, but we're going to have to finish the rest of it off down at the paint shop, which is happening tomorrow. Before that happens though, we need to get the actual dash to fit the car and the dash bar to fit the car really nicely around these front bars. Now we want to do that before we put the pit props in, because then you can actually get the fitment around the dashboard really nice. Get it fitting lovely before you actually make it harder to get that dashboard in. So the first thing we've got to do is install our plates. So we're going to be lopping off the end of this and then welding in these new plates, and those are designed to go on here, which will allow us to, with a bit of jiggery pokery, get the dash bar out later on, which is good. We start off by installing some riv nuts into the car. That's going to allow us to bolt it in, and I'll bolt it in the future if we ever need to remove it. We then get the dash bar over and start seeing where it's going to go. We can kind of template it in place. Then we're going to vacuum out the car to make it nice and clean inside. We move on to actually tacking on the end plates and fit it in place to see how it fits. I move on to actually welding fully around all of the bars so it's nice and secure. And yes, I do know how to use a welder. We can now start actually etching out the dash itself. This is a really long process. We have to take the dash in and out like 100 times, but it's all worth it in the end when it fits really nice. Quite a pressured moment really with dash. You only get one chance to cut it, so we have to be really precise. We can just cut off very, very small measurements and kind of sneak up on where we need to be. Look at that. I get so excited when it fits so nice like that, and it makes all that time and effort worth it, making it fit perfectly. Time to get the car back on the trailer and over to the paint shop. We're now leaving Speed Overground. It's been a great time here. We're heading over to the paint shop now, where we're going to have the door bars finished off by the fab guys that are there. Unfortunately, as we said, Colorado Chris had to go home. But then it will be painted in sunset orange. It's going to look really good. Then we'll get it back into the main workshop to finish off our build. As we made our way over to the paint shop, I was quite nervous considering what was about to happen. I wanted this colour to be super special, and I really hope these guys could pull it off. Pit prop is just saying like there's a few measurements on here, but to be honest, this is just a guidebook. We're now back at the headquarters. Today we're going to be tackling the wiring loom. So we have the wiring loom in front of us here. Now the main objective to this task is to remove any unnecessary wires that are actually in the loom from factory that we no longer need. What this does is allows the car to work perfectly without having excess wires knocking around that we don't really need. It's also a weight factor to it. We'll be stripping out the control units that are not needed along with the associated wiring, which overall will save us on kilograms that we've added with the cage going in. This takes an age, and honestly it took me years to work out how to do this, but I can safely say that I pretty much know what every single wire does on these looms now. And I'm sure we're one of the only people around that can actually do it. It's not just the wiring loom strips, it's the coding and the control unit removal that goes with it. But luckily, we've done quite a few of these up to now, so we were able to just style it out. Now I know many of you will be sitting there thinking that you would never take this kind of work on, and trust me, I also felt like that the first time I did it. But once you get to know the wiring loom, it becomes quite easy, almost like solving a puzzle. And to be honest, it kind of excites me now. So we've been doing some work on our carbon fibre trimming. And we've installed the starter button here, fire extinguisher cut off. You can get an idea of how the car's actually going to look. This looks really good. I'm really happy with how this came out. So yeah, we've got our extra buttons going here. Just have to do some small modifications to get that in. So yeah, really excited to go and see the car and bring it back and really crack on with this build. Kevin at KG's Classics absolutely smashed out the work, and it was time for us to see the paint for the first time. What you're about to see absolutely blew my mind. The whole interior in sunset orange. How good did that look? We get the car loaded back up, and it's time to take it to the workshop. The build-up part of this project has officially begun. Here she is, looking fantastic. So glossy inside. Usually people might go for a matte finish, where I quite like to go for a glossy finish. It's a lot harder to paint, but it absolutely looks killer in the car. We've got Joel back here starting to put the first few things inside the car. So we're going to be situating our fire extinguisher. This one's made by Sparco. We usually use OMP in the UK, but I actually used the Sparco one on the last build, and it came out really nice. So yeah, excited for that. Then we're going to be running our tubing down the side of the car, so we'll actually roll this out and get it into all of the nice bends. Then we'll be securing it with some P-clips and rivets. That will go down. There'll be some nozzles, 2 nozzles for the driver, 1 for the passenger, and then 3 in the engine bay. Once we've done that, we're going to start fitting the dash. Obviously now with all of these bars involved, it's going to be difficult to have our dash cut around that. We have already cut it for our main stays here, the front stays, but we haven't done it for these pit props because they weren't there at that time. So a little bit of fettling work to do there. I can't wait to see our doors actually on the car, because these carbon fibre trims are sick. I love them. I love everything about them. The way that, usually when you fit these things, stuff doesn't really fit, but look at this. It just fits in there so nice. Straight from OEM, straight from the M2, straight into this. Looks absolutely perfect. I also cannot wait to see that sunset orange laid in that X perfectly. So we're just installing the fire extinguisher plumbing now. I try and make sure that all of my P-clips are the perfect distance apart, and like we've added a little bit of clear down here, just where the pipe's possibly going to rub in the future. We've sort of protected that with a little tiny bit of PPF. I love these parts of the build. It really starts to come together. That fire extinguisher plumbed in there beautifully. It's going to add a level of safety that's so important for these race builds. So we got the dash in. Really happy with the fitment. I like how I managed to sort of get it around the roll bars.
It looks good now.
Yeah, just need to relocate the whole car so that we can fit the seat. So what we're thinking about doing is cutting this part of the roll cage out and then fitting the seat back there. Oh, seriously, what we're doing now is working on getting this dashboard into where it needs to be. We did cut it around these front bars already, so you can see that we've made the notches, but at that point the pit prop wasn't in and this X bar wasn't in either, so we'll have to kind of make it work. As you can tell, we're experiencing things for the first time, and that's because every cage is bespoke, which means every dash cut is bespoke. We literally make these things by hand. It takes a lot of skill. Joel's out here putting on the CS Racing splitter. Let's take a grinder to this 7,000 mile bonnet. The reason for it? Installing aero catches. Aero catches allow us to open and shut the bonnet with ease. It also allows someone externally to open up the bonnet without the driver having to get unstrapped and out and back in again. We then move on to installing the holes for our brake ducts. This is going to allow extra cooling to the brake discs, which is all important for those track temperatures. The finishing touches on the loom is done by basically taping it all back up. Everything's in place and we're good to go. So we've installed a CS Racing front splitter, which is from the factory. We've also installed these brake ducts here on the bumper, which are from factory. That looks really good. And we've also installed some aero catches to the bonnet because obviously race car. The way we've done it, I'm quite happy with it. Literally just flicks off, flicks down, fitment's perfect. Just makes it easier when you're at the track. You can just flick those up. You're already in the bonnet. You don't need to worry about pulling any cords. Someone could be strapped up inside the car and you can access the bonnet without getting them out of the way. As simple as that. So happy with that. Front end's looking really good. We've also added our M2 strap. So just a nice little touch there. I'm just really happy with how this car's coming together. I'm really excited to get the doors on. I'm excited to get the wiring loom in. And then I'm excited to get it running because I want to go to the track. It is crazy! Joel gets on to fitting the rear lights after fitting the rear bumper.
Can we get our socks to match in the morning?
No. So we were busy yesterday reinstalling our wiring loom into the car. You can see that it's all in now, looking nice and tidy and taped up. Running in the original plastics, but also running down only the passenger side, and then just comes across this bench seat here in a much thinner loom than what comes out of the factory. And then you can have a look at the back here. We've been busy, so we have started installing some of the control units, the fuse boxes. We've installed the rear bumper now with the rear lights. So it's starting to look like a car again. We've got some aperture seals on. We've also got the party piece of the car, which is the carbon roof. To be honest, there's no better quality than BMW's own carbon stuff, so that is all I will use if I can get away with it. I move on to installing the heater box and the dash bar for what should be the final time. Then I get some PPF installed onto the cage, ready for the dashboard to go in. We don't want it to scratch this beautiful paint at all, so I'm super careful with where I'm putting the PPF, and then super careful with where we're going to actually be touching the dash on the cage. Try number 2.
Now this dashboard shouldn't even be able to fit in one piece. With the roll cage installed, it's actually a thinner area to fit it. But with persistence, you can squeeze it in. But if you break it, you've got to start all over again. So we had to be super careful at this point. And I was sweating. With the relief of that out the way, I could move on to start fitting the fire extinguisher system inside the engine bay. Once that was done, it's time for that carbon roof. We used Tiger Seal to bond it on, and she's looking so good.
We've got our CS splitter on, we've got our CS Racing brake ducts, we've got our aero catches, which are lovely. We've seen them already, but here you go again. Underneath here, we've been working on the fire extinguisher system. We've got 4 points, 4 nozzles in the engine bay, all the way around, 2 for the turbos, 2 for the electrical areas, maximum safety. Moving on to the inside of the car, you will see that we've installed our center console. We've got our start button, our fire extinguisher button, and our electrical cut-off button, all in and all wired. We're still yet to put our parking release in. That's coming. We've got our foot plates in here. So one for the driver, one for the passenger. They are different because the passenger obviously doesn't need to press the throttle pedal. You'll see here, carbon roof. Looking really nice, bonded and bolted. Moving on to the driver's side, obviously the party piece is less steering wheel. Looks lovely, it's in there. Do a quick demonstration of getting it out. So what we've done, we had Levels Motorsport in the UK build us this loom, which we mentioned before. So all we have to do is just twist off there, that comes off, steering wheel comes out. Easy as that. Nice and easy, we just plonk that in, and away you go. You're driving. And moving on to the back of the car, we've done a few things. We've got the boot lid on, and I've put in the CarTech isolator in the back here, nice and tucked away. We're running the standard battery at the moment because we're waiting for a few people to come back with prices on a lightweight battery. It's not the end of the world if it runs the original, but if you're going for a lightweight car, then it calls for a lightweight battery. And we're running the fin speeds, but we are going to be using the forge line wheels that have come in. We're just waiting for the slicks to be mounted. And yeah, then we're going to hit the track. I can't wait, it's going to be sweet! And I'm really happy with this. So we have here our dash fitted to the car, and as you can see, we've cut it around the roll bar, and then we've made this carbon piece here, which has allowed us to cap off the areas in which you would see once the windscreen goes in just a few minutes. Now, a lot of people, even including factory cars, we went to the track the other day, and factory cars, they seem to not really care about this sort of detail. They kind of just cut a square and then they plonk a bit of plastic over the top. Not my cup of tea. So what we're going to do to finish these pieces off is we're just going to run a small bead of sealant down here just to kind of join the two parts together, and then the windscreen is going to be going on.
Taking the extra time to do these little details makes all the difference.
Yeah, motherfucker. Door bars, amazing. Now I'm gonna do this without getting it on my back. Look here.
Oh, come on, it's heavy.
Ready?
No, yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, it's so heavy.
You'll also know that if you've been in motorsport, Tiger Seal is the only bond you'll ever need. You don't need anything else in your life other than Tiger Seal. Right, what we're going to do, Joel?
Shit.
Buffeting. Plonk it on and then we'll move it around. It's so much better. We have our diffs in front of us here. So on the right, we've got the standard diff, on the left we have our Drexler. Now, people sometimes are not sure what diffs to go with. People want maybe a Quaife, maybe a wave track. I'm telling you now, a Drexler is what you want. So you can see here the differences in the diff is that this one has the servo motor, whereas this one does not. This is a reactive diff. This reacts to what the wheel speed sensors are sensing. So if you have a wheel slip, the wheel speed sensor will pick up a differential between the left and the right. Then a computer will work out how much voltage to apply to the motor, which will then transfer to how much lock you'll have on the diff. Now that whole process takes time. This diff is proactive. It works instantly. As soon as there's a differential, the way the mechanics work inside, you are locking that diff up. Oh, he hasn't taken the cap off.
I've taken the cap off.
Oh, Joe!
Alright, everybody. So this is the first little drive of the car after we finished it. Well, not finished quite, but we got it driving, so we're going to take it over to get re-cleared. So essentially this is the first time it's driven with all the steering wheel and the dash. We still have a little bit of coding to do on the screen there. So, but yeah, this is just to see that it actually still does drive, which it does.
So sick.
And yeah, this is what we're looking like. Steering wheel's feeling nice, dash is looking good, seating position's lovely. We're really excited. It sounds absolutely amazing.
What an amazing journey this has been. Over 7 weeks of hard graft to build this dream M2. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I hope that you've enjoyed seeing it too. What you're about to see is our finest work put into action.
Does what you want it to, really. You liked it? The Wonder Boy. Approved.
Okay, that's it for this video. Now, if you want to see the full build in all of its detail, we actually did a full series. There's 7 episodes. Go check it out on our playlist. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.